we go! Hunts is in! Looking for it! Oh,
He gets it!
Gets 1,000 kills!
Double it!
And that's it!
1,000 kills!
I'm going. Are you guys sure?
Go!
Okay, we're in.
Okay, get him.
All right, I love you guys. And what a way to end your final game of this summer.
And what a way to get now into the finals. TSM's logo on your screen now, only 2 games away from winning North America for the 4th time in 4 years.
Yeah, and C9, though, would also be 2 games away from winning their 3rd title and tying TSM. So we got ourselves a great series on the way.
Yes, we do. Of course, welcome back to the Air Canada Centre here in Toronto, home of a lot of great athletes. Now the ones on your screen are TSM and Cloud9. And TSM playing much better now in the second game, playing more aggressively as you guys wanted from that first.
Yeah, and TSM was able to get much more of an early edge. They were able to converge on mid lane, get Bjergsen ahead, and he was really able to help them push the pace, take down these outers.
And then in the mid-game team fights, Haunter was also huge, bouncing back from a very poor performance in game 1 to an amazing performance in that game 2, neutralizing the backline of C9 in so many of those big fights.
Right, and C9 playing basically 2-threat comps the entire way through. You know, it's always on Jensen and Sneaky, and if one of them gets basically solo killed by that TSM top laner, then it looks a whole hell of a lot better.
Yeah, and every single one of these guys need to step up to the pressure. We saw some jitters in game 1, a few jitters in game 2, but it does seem like they're kind of starting to settle in a little bit, and now it's really anyone's series with the adaptations from the first 2 games pick and ban.
So with this series all tied up, Doublelift shares what it means to be back in the finals.
Summer Split is the one that means the most, and last Summer Split, I came into finals with CLG and we like smashed it. And I think this Summer Split, I feel kind of the same, like unstoppable force. Like our team is just so strong. We just play insane sometimes. So I think like claiming the championship and taking it away and becoming like the team with the most number of LCS titles, it's like a pretty historic thing. And especially in Summer Split where it matters the most. So I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely think they did look amazing in that game there, and we'll see if they can continue that forward into game number 3 and get themselves an edge in the series.
Yeah, and we've even seen like the way TSM respects each other as teammates. Like Bjergsen, he's been on TSM for a while and has had many different teammates, and he said this is the first time where if he's thinking about going internationally, he has no worries about someone not being able to hold their own. They trust each other to all be at the very top of their game, and that trust gets tested on a stage like this.
And so far, it's been, I guess, some misses, but a lot of hits now for TSM. After game 2 looked, I think there's a good chance they can keep that form heading into the back half of this series. No Syndra allowed. Tom Kench banned away as well. You're seeing them drop that off the table. TSM continuing their chain of Tom Kench bans.
The question for me is, does C9 actually leave Vladimir up for that first pick as they did in game number 1? Because they were not willing to give it over to red side, but they were willing in game number 1 to give that Vladimir pick to that blue side. And no, okay.
Ooh,
wow.
TSM saying, yeah, we know. And it's funny because they could have like banned the Cassiopeia and said, oh, well, as long as we don't play that matchup, we're fine here. But it might have been some other mitigating circumstances, like Tom Kench being good for an eventual Malzahar, things like that. So the landscape of Champ Select has changed, and they don't want to play Vlad at all.
The mind game that I wanted to see TSM play was to leave it unbanned and not first pick, because it has shown that C9 doesn't hold a very high priority to them. So you would kind of be telling them exactly what to do and also denying Jensen the chance at a counter pick. So I wish they would have done that, but they've chosen elsewhere. Let's see what they do with their first pick.
And now we get to find out, will it be the Jhin takeaway again? Because you have to feel maybe C9 will be willing to take it on this first rotation if Jhin goes unpicked as the first one.
Gnar was the first pick for C9 when they were on blue side in the past game. Rek'Sai has been creeping up the priority list, and that's a little surprising to me.
I actually think that Gnar Jhin would be a fantastic second round here for C9 if they're willing to make that pick this early on. And actually, wow, more priority on Trundle, and that has been pretty popular in both series here.
They're just reading the fact that tanks are being picked up so frequently. They're assuming Battlepross continue to play melee champions, and Trundle, one of the best matchups to fight a tank, while still being a tank yourself, and that's what they're going for.
It is really good, but at the same time, look at Adrian's success on a champion like Taric, right? He was playing Trundle all throughout the series, and then the amount of things that Taric can do are very comparable to Trundle, and you can also have this amazing teamfight ultimate, so I don't really feel like the priority that is that warranted on it, but it may be that they're worried about Biofrost taking it away too.
Yeah, there could be a lot of power pick fears from there, but if we're looking at this draft, we have the potential to have the same teams, even if we switch sides. The 3 picks for TSM are on their previous team, as for the 2 picks for C9. There's a chance we get a salty run back.
Seems pretty likely here. We'll see what else comes through on this one. The Vel'Koz still comes in, knowing that C9 was susceptible to Gangster Liran with this matchup. Meteos unable to match pace with Svenskeren.
Definitely feels like TSM is almost daring C9 to make a change. They very early pick the Rek'Sai. C9 doesn't bother to steal away anything from TSM. Here would be pretty much where I think you have to make the change. If we see the Vel'Koz and the Ashe lock in, then we're pretty sure we're going to be having that, but C9 should hide their hand a little bit.
Well,
and it's 4/5.
we're just a mid lane pick away.
Pick.
Say, will you play Echo again? If so, maybe I don't want to play Vel'Koz again. That might be the one mitigating factor here, but yeah, C9 locking in 80% of last game's team comp. And no, they change it up.
Oh baby, it's
Meteos Zach bringing out the Zach.
It's the Meteos special. He used to be known for this champion, and a lot of people have been talking about how it has been creeping up in priority in solo queue, and as far as being this manalist, tanky jungler, has fantastic long-range initiation, can be very good against someone like Jhin and like Cassiopeia. Gives you that backline access.
He was by far the most winningest Zac in North American LCS, but this was 2.5 years ago. He's always had an affinity for this champion. Azale just talked about the ways he's been creeping back up, and we talked about like finding a way to mix things up and be the ones that change. Well, after TSM locks in 2 of the lower mobility damage dealers, how about a guy who can slingshot 2,000 range into the team? It's actually a great pick if he doesn't fall behind.
And this is something that he is actively still playing consistently in solo queue. He's staying practiced on this champion, and now to bust it out on the biggest stage here at the North American Finals, the Bard.
And so TSM changes it up. This is a consideration I had, is when you show your pocket pick earlier on in the draft, like what exactly is Jensen hiding for the mid lane pick? Now TSM says, oh, you are playing Zac. That's different. Let's change the texture a little bit here. Now let's get a Bard in for support. Let's change what this all looks like. We can get away from the slingshots. We can ult you if we really need to. New looks now for TSM with Biofrost Bard, as they've changed one champion in the lineup.
One thing as well to keep in mind for Zac is this is one of the best, if not the best, at doing these unseen mid lane ganks. You can jump over from the Wraith Pit. It's very hard to ward out all the angles that this guy can engage on you from, and maybe this gives them the confidence to actually go back to the Vel'Koz or to do something different. And oh, it is the Vel'Koz again, so it's the run back. Jensen says, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice.
Yeah, run back in the mid lane matchup, but maybe the jungle matchup will be different. Only one champion select tweak for both of these teams. The support switches from Braum to Bard. The jungler switches from Gragas to Zac.
To be fair, it's a big change for Cloud9. We have not seen Zac in a long time, and I, for one, am super hyped.
Yeah, just thinking about the early game, I think it's going to be so critical. Will he be able to keep pace with Svenskeren early? Because once Meteos gets level 5, level 7, level 9, and starts ranking up into max range elastic slingshot, that's when it becomes dangerous. But if he falls behind, he can become very useless very quickly.
There's another minor point that helps as well, as it's a manaless jungler just like the Rek'Sai, with the mid lane matchup being so volatile. Giving the level 3 blue buff over has actually been a contributing factor to these two players winning their lanes. Meteos can now do the same thing for Jensen. Give him the blue buff. Zac doesn't need it. Might help the matchup a little bit more. And yeah, I think we do still expect to see a jungler come in around level 4, level 5, get that matchup tilted. The coaches shake their hands one more time. We're going into game 3. It's all tied up. We know we're going to have more to play, but match point basically on the line now here, as we are tied up 1-1. And the rights of best team in North America here will be proven in the next hour to 3.
Yeah, 3 more games to play. The series continues to evolve. These teams continue to learn more about each other. They hadn't played in the last 2 weeks. They were very happy scrim partners prior to that, but ever since, they've been trying to keep it locked down, and now we get to see what they've been hiding.
We do, and one of the things they were hiding was Zac, Zon Amorphous Construct, if you actually turn the acronym into its real name. A little bit of lore for you guys. We wait for the game to actually start here. And yeah, it's a battle of very similar styles. You do have one less tank on TSM, and the thing was, with their comp last time, it was 2.5 damage dealers, 2.5 tanks. Echo could go either side based on how he was doing, and he was a massive performer, solo killing members of the back line by himself. Haunter was huge on that Echo, and that was a, I think, very big tilting factor. But now TSM have one less tank. They've now got the Bard in here, and if Haunter doesn't do very well, then it's only one tank. It's just the Rek'Sai, and this changes the landscape of fights quite a lot.
You're going to have to wonder, how is C9 going to keep Jensen safe on this Vel'Koz? I mean, we've seen how Haunter wants to play these team fights, how aggressively he wants to dive in on the Vel'Koz, pressure him out of these fights, and C9 must protect him. We'll see if they can do that, and they must protect their jungler in the early game. It's not just on Meteos, it's on his team to get him vision and to help him if he's getting invaded.
And there's a couple of different ways I can see these fights evolving. We know that TSM has less of a tank line with the Bard instead of a Braum, but there's actually an incredible synergy between Echo and Bard. If they throw their ultimate with the parallel convergence and they time it just right, they can actually guarantee a massive stun for Haunter to close people down on. However, I also think the Bard could see use if Meteos dives 2,000 units in with Elastic Slingshot, and then the Bard ultimate gets thrown on the back line. Because the last thing that Meteos wants to happen is to be isolated while he's bouncing around, which makes him an easy focus.
Look at this attention being given to finding out where the jungler is starting. Is he starting on the blue side? Is he going to start top side? They want to give this information to Svenskeren and allow him to try to get an advantage through that. Because you talked about it, Zach is really weak in this early game, at least compared to the Rek'Sai.
At a certain point, Zach becomes a pretty good duelist.
Yep. With his
Sometimes the best Svenskeren can do is just pop the blobs and then be like, well, okay, it's a cooldown. I'll see you guys a little bit later. It can be difficult to knock that down, but we'll see. There's, of course, a lot to consider here in this one. Looking at the keystones, interesting actually to see Grasp on Trundle against a ranged support, because I don't expect him to get that many auto attacks off.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where he just feels he can stay in combat and then get that one kind of burst hit, basically. And also, Grasp going to be on Haunter, although Fervor is kind of more common. I actually like Grasp more in this matchup.
You're against ranged, yeah. You get many fewer attacks off, and it does make sense for the matchup
stack
itself. Right, so for any top laners out there, against ranged champions, probably Grasp, melee champions, probably Fervor. Of course, Fervor for Impact, no surprise at all.
And the early jungle route for Meteos, I'm really curious to see where he's going. He potentially is just doing a safer route. He'll bounce back to red once he has Smite, but we'll have to keep track of that as there's some aggression on the bot side.
A little bit of damage back and forth. AD carries losing health never feels great. Normally the supports have many, many more potions to chew through, but damage on AD carries tends to stick quite a lot longer. Nice volley by Sneaky, and of course he's, ooh, that's a great stun. Yeah, you saw Smoothie walk in to block what would have been a deadly flourish, but Double didn't have it available at the time, so it really didn't mean anything.
Meteos is actually doing a very interesting camp. He's doing the path where you take all the little jungle camps first, you skip your buffs, and you do this to actually stay safer, to stay higher on HP in case you're going to get invaded.
Yeah, this also is a power play to try and get level 5, depending on if he takes the 4th small camp and then continues, or if he does a very early blue handoff. Leaving your camps up at the start of the game actually allows you to level faster, but it makes you less powerful extremely early. Is he even going to just take this for the experience? Could be the question.
Like it's an early take.
Looks like it.
And not pulling the Vel'Koz over at all. And there will be the blue buff going on to Meteos himself as he goes through the clear. And he's actually ignoring Gromp, so a different look right now.
And I think part of this is actually to keep him safer as far as not giving away his location in the jungle, right? They don't want to be, oh, hey, my jungler's right here. He's giving away the blue buff. You're allowing him to stay a little bit safer, stay a little bit more unknown, and can pick up that red buff now and perhaps look for a level 4 gank.
What's interesting, though, is Svenskeren could be suspicious around the red side. He's actually going for a gank in the top lane, so Meteos could be getting the red, but this gank, Impact, going to be tough to outplay this.
You wouldn't really expect him to be top at this exact timing, but Impact running out of health. There's a flash knockup, and he can't get over the wall. First blood goes through the Svenskeren, chomping down on his prey.
And just a nice path by Svenskeren. There's so many of these games have been about bottom side jungling. Early top side gank surprises everyone, and Impact in particular. He used his hop to get away from Haunter. It
was such a weird path, too. It's 3 minutes 40 in, and he started top side. He started Gromp and somehow still got back up there after red buff, and Impact didn't see it coming.
And a lot of competitive jungling is doing these weird paths. It's mixing it up. It's messing with timings because these players, they ward at specific timings. They play around specific timings. It's all very calculated.
Exactly, and patterns are dangerous for these guys. When they see Meteos in the jungle, maybe they have been able to scout it a little bit because he does stream it a lot and he's pretty public about what he can do on the Zac. Both these guys just trying to mix it up as much as possible. Svenskeren wasn't expecting an early game from Meteos, so he does the weird path, gets the gank, and it pays off.
1,000 gold, almost the advantage of TSM. Ooh, actually pretty crucial right there. Impact slowing Haunter down by about 9 seconds because this lane is freezing into Impact.
Exactly, and that freeze is massive, and sometimes funny enough, how the lanes can work out. If you don't get help from your jungler, you can actually end up getting behind from a gank like that where your jungler takes the kill. But he is going to get that jungle help to at least push in the wave.
He's going to shove it in, and Svenskeren, you can see him waiting around on that brush. He knew that with the lane pushing in, there's always a chance that Meteos wanted to join up. But now this wave a bit too big to win a 2-on-1, and Hauntzer's going to be able to shove this one in pretty well. As these two minions die, the reinforcement wave will not stop it from reaching the turret, and this lane will reset eventually.
And just even the fact that Svenskeren was there allowed him the confidence to push that in. Had his jungler not been there, it would be too risky, so he doesn't even have to show in the lane, just moves topside, allows Haunter to have that confidence. Nice little play from Svenskeren.
Not to mention, he's able to get the deep ward in the jungle, and it's a nice start for TSM, but we were expecting an early pressure edge from the Rex side. The question will be whether or not Meteos can equalize that. He did his super clear of the jungle to hit level 5, get an early Kindle Gem and boots, and now he's tracking probably towards the mid lane. That is Zach's favorite place to gank.
Yeah, he's in that side bush, but Svenskeren's on the side too.
Hey, flash over to the right-hand side. Bjergsen gets away, still using a summoner spell. Haunter and Impact, meanwhile, doing battle. It's a flash away. Haunter was going to get chained down on this one. Impact saving his own flash, actually. Summoner advantage. And Haunter, keep in mind, no teleport, no summoner, and the lane is once again really close to the red side turret. Here's Meteos coming up, sensing blood in the water.
Yeah, Double Thorn's Blade Gnar is such an aggressive pick. Meteos pathing up, he's going to get spotted. Haunter has no flash, can he get away?
First hyper, shield coming out,
Here
3-second countdown, knockup is there, and they've got the damage! Top lane counter kill, and Haunter has no way to rejoin the lane. C9 can make this freeze if they want to, and completely shove him out. Instead, they're going to shove the wave in, deny one more, and they'll reset the lane.
They know he doesn't have the teleport, so they're very free about shoving up this lane because they know they're going to be able to deny a lot of minions to the turret. Not to mention, it always helps when you can net 6 on Zach at 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
Very
no
quick.
kidding, and here it goes again. Impact fully commits to it. He sees that he has the kill. He knows he forced out the flash. Meteos flies in, able to help clean that up, and such a good start for him. He's actually up farm on this Rex side, hits the early level 6, and he's going to be a threat to gank anywhere now.
Yeah, he's been able to get out of the early game. Now it's all about how he can impact the game with these long-range ganks. It also changes the warding patterns that TSM has to do because there are so many different angles he can gank to the middle of the mid lane. Like this one, he doesn't have to go in the river. He can actually gank from above it.
He's got him, Bjergsen. There's the knockback. The chain of ultimates. There's no chance at all. And a mid lane kill comes in for Cloud9.
The Meteos Zach pocket pick showing up massive in game 3. What a start.
Beautiful. Kill and an assist for him in the first 7.5 minutes. Taking away a Raptor camp. He sees Svenskeren taking his countrymate's farm in the mid lane as the Cassiopeia has crumbled to dust and respawned.
It is just so cool to see Meteos playing Zach on this stage because he was crushing people on Zach before Bjergsen was even on TSM. Like, it's such a throwback pick, and it is so awesome. Watch this. He knows the range. Look at how deep Bjergsen is. He's on his side of the lane, and he gets hit without a flash from Meteos. That's what Zach can do.
And that's why this guy is such a frightening jungler. You smite out the race, you move towards mid lane, you know you're not warded out, and you can engage from ridiculous ranges.
Beautiful stuff. Level 7 Zach. The range gets longer from here. Be aware, TSM. Biofrost gets a bit of help, though. He's got Svenskeren around him, and it'll just be a trade of blows. Right now, TSM, again in contrast to game 1, but much like game 2, they're winning the 2-on-2 down here. You see a 10 farm lead for Doublelift. They're playing for the blue buff as well. Svenskeren here. Meteos, no! The early smite? No, it did go over. I take it back. He dealt enough damage.
Yeah.
Early smite or not.
Great secure by Svenskeren somehow as Meteos tried to fly in for a steal.
The last 10 health was dealt. TY red buff.
One of those really funny things about Zach is you actually can smite while you're flying through the air. So you can even do crazy things where you fly over a dragon pit or over the Baron pit and smite as you're going over, and you can just go right through, steal it away. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, notice the pink ward war, though, in this river, because that is so critical if Bjergsen wants to have anything to do with that mid lane, is being able to at least have a chance of spotting the Zach.
And part of the story of this series so far has been so goes the mid lane, so goes the game. And Jensen is the one to get ahead here. Now, he's the one being gifted over that kill from his jungler's help, and it could be very, very big.
And we know we've seen Impact dominate top lane one-on-one with a small lead. Haunter was the reason that Jensen didn't hard carry in game 2. Haunter's now being held down.
Meteos has rage buff, and he's looking.
Goes for it, doesn't land the knockup, flashes to knock him back in though, and it's gonna be dangerous. They're trading
might
blows
stop
back
it.
and forth, and FLICKR doing what he can to make it all happen. The poison, the heal, Meteor splits into 4. Jensen still chasing, but doesn't have the damage, and that's gonna be 2 kills, you assume, coming in for TSM as Meteos will lose his life. Hauntzer gets a kill.
And the gank backfires there for Meteos. He didn't land the damage on his elastic slingshot, and that was the difference as FLICKR was able to arrive to turn that one around.
Critical right there that Bjergsen was able to kite back and constantly heal as he ran away from Meteos, got the haste, got the damage, got the health back, and Bjergsen sustained through all of it. +2 for TSM, mid lane turret gonna fall as well. That's a huge surge of money. +700 to +1700.
Yeah, first turret as well, just a massive swing. And this game is displaying both why Zach can be good, but also why you often don't see him, because the margin for error is so slim. All of his damage is built up and towards that elastic slingshot, and when it doesn't do damage to Bjergsen right there, they do not have enough to finish the kill.
And it wasn't just that. Actually, the E and the Q were both missed from Jensen. They missed way too many spells. That one missed again. Jensen saving his flash super late and then flashing into the wall there. A lot of mistakes here from C9. Had Jensen hit either of his initial skill shots, Bjergsen dies off regardless of that E not landing. So definitely some big mistakes, and the look of frustration on Meteos' face there. They know they messed up. It just threw away their lead.
Exactly, because they lost so much after that one as well. The buff that he had, the mid lane turret, that's no longer a safe place to go because the deep wards can be placed now through the mid lane. Just a bunch of things they now have to battle back from, and that's where the mental strength will come into it.
Certainly not an insurmountable disadvantage, but yes, you gotta say, TSM looking much better now. The great turnaround. Hauntzer managed to pick up a kill as well, which again, a really big deal because he's starting to lose his one-on-one matchup in the top lane. The farm difference is over 10. You can see this even, there was until just now, a level lead for Impact as well. He's probably half a XP bar up. We'll see if anything more can happen in this one as Hauntzer kind of just desperately fights for farm. Down 11.
An arrow actually flew wide in the mid lane right there, so C9 had maneuvered to try and get a pick, but completely whiffed on it, and that actually allows Biofrost to move in for some very aggressive wards.
Which is completely safe. He can always magical journey out. Meteos has to leave his own jungle even. He says, nah, I got this after all. And
Nope,
is just
Sven
kidding.
took it.
I've got smite still. JK, buddy. And look at that. Priority over this bot lane turret. Been able to tunnel out, but Sneaky can only fight for a few minions as this wave is thinning, and the turret's down to half.
TSM trying to pull the team play in very quickly, already grouping in bottom lane, 3:15 minutes, trying to get out of the lanes, and they get a pick.
Chain of ultimates, here comes the snipe. Smoothie takes 3, he'll survive the 4th and does so. Not nearly as painful as the prior game, it's much earlier on into the game. But an 1,800 gold lead still puts TSM ahead. They've got vision control over this Drake pit pretty well. Seen it have a couple of wards around, but certainly the tempo lead and almost everything really resides with TSM.
Pressure is pretty heavy towards the bottom side and Drake right here. With no mid lane turret, deep wards in their jungle, C9 has to be very cautious about where they approach.
They definitely do, but C9 is going to have that Ashe arrow available here pretty shortly and can look to make some of those plays. Ashe in combination with the Zac as well. Very long range initiation, and the follow-up can be there. Meteos clearing out some of these wards, trying to battle for vision and give them the ability to have some of this playmaking, because if you don't have the vision in the river, it's too easy to avoid that Ashe arrow when Sneaky moves up.
Well, something to always keep in mind right now, of course, no Tom Kench, not nearly as much safety, but so far so good. TSM have not fallen prey to Sneaky's antics just yet. Killer means not much. Quick wave clear, Biofrost takes the CS, his 6th of the game. Farm like a monster.
Gotta get that Ruby Sightstone, Freak.
Yep, big deal.
Gotta say, I'm really impressed with the fact that Bjergsen has been able to get picked on this much against teams with Ashe as well, and not really fall victim to it hardly at all, because he's not playing cleanse, he's not actually respecting that Ashe, and he's getting away with it.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the few attempts that C9 has actually gone for it. I think there's been a decent amount of pressure in the lane that's kept them tethered, so to speak, to the bottom side, because a lot of the times when you are punishing a mid laner for not having cleanse, it's because the mid lane in support after recall run down mid lane, fire a close range arrow from basically where Meteos was ganking on Zac, and they convert a kill. But in all 3 games of Ashe, I haven't seen that play once from C9. They're really just stuck in the laning phase.
They have been an ooh, the snipe double lift. Gets rid of the blue, the crowd cheers, and they know what he just did. That's a tight timing. He made it happen.
It's insult to injury. It's one of those things that's so frustrating. Even though it's not going to decide the game, you never want to see that happen as a mid laner.
But things add up over time. You know, maybe that turns into 5 more CS. Maybe he doesn't finish a void step.
Oh, double lift.
Double lift flashes on.
Maybe he dies.
Knock back around. Arrow's going to land on Biofrost. That should be a kill onto the Bard. Flashes into the magical journey. Meteos chases too deep. He's going to get split up into 4. And yeah, that's Meteos getting quartered. Now can the team regroup in time? The teleport to keep the Bloblet alive. It doesn't take damage. Here comes Impact. Meteos jumps over the wall, but into Bjergsen's waiting arms, and another kill comes through. That's going to feel good for TSM, and even more insults. Snipes on a smoothie, losing health, has to flash away from the tempered fate of Bard, and T9 losing another.
Meteos just wanted that kill so badly after that mid lane disaster. He commits heavily to it, gets the flashes, but he's not happy with just taking that flash. He wanted the kill and couldn't get it.
And you could see that Sneaky was considering following through on that one as well, but decided not to. Hauntzer, though, could get solo kill.
Hauntzer does not have the ult. He used to get back into lane. One more hit, he'll do it, and Impact gets the damage he needs. He'll survive this turret shot, and he's gonna recall if no one shows up to kill him. What a nice pickup. TSM, they'll get the Mountain Drake on the bot side.
And they needed that. They needed something to go their way. Impact makes it happen for them in the top lane, giving them that confidence back, that burst of energy from seeing something good happen. You can't just have things go the other way time and time again.
And this one did go the other way. They can catch out Doublet, but he flashes to avoid the damage, and they think they're going to be able to finish Biofrost. The CC is chaining, but he flashes into his own tunnel, and no one's actually close to Meteos. Sneaky runs up, but after we're thinking, should I go? But a full house stun scare and a full house Doublet means it's a bad idea. Then the teleport comes through, and even though it does save Meteos for a while, that would be probably a Gnar death as well as losing pressure in that top side. Meteos flies over. Hauntzer did complete his teleport, and it is a dead Zac.
Certainly the right choice for Impact to cancel there and had no way to actually contribute. Meteos just overcommitted. Could have just taken, throw off the E, get double a flash, back off. Now sieges that turret. Now try to get the advantages that way. Instead, they go for more, they get punished.
And they do indeed. Right now, it's a 2,000 gold lead. It's actually stayed about the same. They've been trading resources reasonably close back and forth. You talk about advantages of TSM. You've got 2 kills on Bjergsen in the mid lane. You've got a bot lane that's looking pretty nice. It's plus 20 right now in the top lane for Impact. He's the winning lane. You talk about things that C9 needs to turn this morale war around. A solo kill and a 20 minion lead feels pretty good.
Yep, and as we've seen, Gnar, who's ahead, is really hard to deal with. It's just a matter of whether or not C9 can have the isolation from Impact and get him to draw multiple people up, which then can create playmaking opportunities for the Ashe and the Zac. The pick potential of the 4-man squad for C9 is still incredible, whether or not they're down in gold.
And Jensen is really doing quite well for himself too. He has a kill, he has a CS advantage over Bjergsen, so he's not falling behind because of some of these things that haven't gone their way. And you know, really it's just about Meteos staying relevant, keeping up his farm, because you don't want to fall too far behind on that Zac. You have to build full tank and you have to be relevant.
We'll see if it can happen. He's getting some level of farm. He's got himself the Cinder Hulk. I've seen some Zacs go Runic Echoes and use that as... Oh, jeez. Oh, geez. Impact again, just finding the solo kill. Hauntzer didn't even get to cast the ultimate. He had it up and it didn't happen.
Bjergsen's coming in though.
Well, the hop came in time and it bounced off of a minion, so Impact has a lot of time to buy. Teleport, it's going to be close. Can Spencer get the knockup? He's... Okay. Force a couple summoners out, but Impact is now in a bad spot. He's going to get chained down. The kill comes through with the assist.
But what is the cost? They send their mid laner, jungler, and top laner, so to speak, all the way to that side, and Jensen and Meteos might be able to take down that mid lane turret.
Just like in the semifinals, it's Impact that the team can rally around. He is making so many big plays, back-to-back solo kills on Hauntzer. Just incredible, and they don't get the mid lane turret, but it's very low, and let's see it once again here. Impact pulls the trigger, nails the stun. Hauntzer, total disrespect, walking up.
He had time to ult as well. You saw him cast E right there, but
big mistake.
Didn't happen. Sneaky getting low. Thankfully able to win the duel himself. Has plenty of movement speed. Hurricane plus boots too.
Yeah, and I think there was a couple layers to that mistake from Hauntzer there. He could have just sat back at his turret and waited. He stood next for the Gnar ultimate, and also he's gone with an aggressive build despite being behind. You do often see Echoes go armor early against Gnar, and then building the Trinity Force as a second item. It is a choice, but when you're doing that Trinity Force and you know you're behind, you have to give the respect to the Gnar.
Exactly, it's a Sunfire cave that people often kind of bail out into, but he's now down 2 levels against the Gnar, who's building aggressive. This guy's going for a Black Cleaver. Impact is looking to try to carry the game from the top lane.
And Sven, no fear, steals the blue away. You talk about carries, it has to be Impact. Jensen's not getting blue buffs. The bot lane's not looking good either. That turret already went down a second ago. TSM are massacring the bottom 2 lanes.
Yeah, and it is the overall map pressure that's giving them this lead. While we were seeing the solo kills in the top lane, C9 couldn't finish the mid lane turret, and then the Jhin ultimate and the Biofrost harass gave them the pressure to take the bottom turret. So with the 2 turret to 0 lead, it's really important that Impact or Jensen can fell some of these turrets in the lanes just to keep the goal close.
Yeah, and that mid lane turret should be going down relatively soon if they can get up to it. Top lane turret is at half HP from Impact's work, so there is gold out there on the map that they can start collecting, and this is going to be the first step towards that.
All right, here we go, 800 gold in the pockets. Here comes another battle on the top side. Meteos gets the 2-man knock, but he's got to run away. A nice knock up by Svenskeren, but it will mean Meteos walks away. A trade of his ultimate. Svenskeren just used his.
Speaking of 2-level advantages, Meteos down 2 levels now here to Svenskeren, who has really been taking a lot away, but Hauntzer just getting punished here.
Another hyper trigger, and the thing is, this actually looks better for the next time around because all the healing you would have got from the ultimate ticks down.
All of TSM moving
goodness.
up here. They want to put an end to it.
Well, Impact survived 1v2s against Immortals.
He sees them now.
Here's a 1v4.
Send to the troops.
Svenskeren jumping over. A nice ult to stop the knockup. The snipe's not going to land, and Impact survives a 1v4.
And it's what he's been doing all playoffs. You send the team at him, and he just sends them right back because it is so difficult to kill this guy. He is so elusive on Gnar.
40 CS up, 2 solo kills against Hauntzer. Are you kidding me?
Send 4 people, waste your time.
Wow.
Well, just like what TSM has in their hands, no impact. No impact at all to that gank. It means nothing. C9 got a bit of pressure down in the mid lane. The problem is TSM are still up 3k for everything else they're doing well. It's just Impact's lead is now 30 minions. It's getting bigger over time. He's doing amazingly. He's an outstanding player, but the other 4 TSM are winning on those matchups.
They certainly are, but not by massive amounts. Sneaky very relevant, only down 10 CS, but Sneaky may get caught.
That's a flash forced out. Biofrost getting another Summoner Spell burn, but here comes Curtain Call, and the teleport. Impact's gonna match a few seconds later, but here comes Hauntzer. Will they find much? He doesn't pull the trigger, and here comes Meteos, right to the knockback, and also Impact canceled, so C9 will be missing their top laner for this fight. TSM have 5 up here, 5v4.
Yeah.
C9 cannot choose to
They
defend this
should
one.
run.
A root on Meteos. There's a stun out from Bard. Here comes the Hauntzer, parallel convergence. Meteos ult, he's running as fast as he can, but split into 4 one more time. Damage
Best
across
I
on the
could hope for is
Prophets.
the turret trade.
They're gonna knock him down. Meteos will lose his life. How much more is gonna happen? Snipes aren't gonna land. Bjergsen down to half HP. C9 still holding the line, but this is so risky. Top lane turret goes down. TSM have all 3 outers. And Impact now finally working on bot lane outer. Yes, it will be the eventual turret trade, but that is still 1 kill picked up for TSM that had no answer.
Slight edge to TSM, but at the same time, Impact is already at a big advantage. And if you put Hauntzer even further behind, Impact's picking up all this farm, all this solo experience. C9 is putting all their eggs in the Impact basket. They're saying that this guy is going to be able to smash Hauntzer and make up for what they're losing elsewhere.
Yeah, but the more they lose elsewhere, the farther ahead the other 4 people on TSM are going to get, and it's going to make it harder and harder to stall out as that squad. C9 was also dealing with imperfect information there. They should have all been backed off because it was 5 people for TSM and because Impact was in the bottom lane, but they didn't necessarily know that. And in the turret trade, it's not just a turret trade, it's a second Mountain Drake as well as a kill. So TSM overall wins that.
Certainly do. Black Cleaver now done for Impact, though. 2 items done to just really the Trinity Force, and some small components here for Hauntzer, and Impact should be absolutely dominating in this 1v1 if they do meet up.
Yeah, I even wonder how much really resists Hauntzer even grabs himself. He had to go for swiftness boots to deal with the frozen mallet and hyper pain train. Still probably means Impact gets him in the 1v1, but he bought a movement speed item, not a durability item. He's now going for Ruby Crystal, which could be anything. Yeah, it might be random, so it'll help in the matchup, but it could as easily be a Spirit Visage, which doesn't help him survive Impact, and it makes it even worse as he goes for another fight.
I also do want to point out that Impact needs to stay in these 1v1s. He doesn't have any armor yet, so he'd be a
Nice
little bit
play.
weak in an actual team fight. Doublelift with the Duskblade could kill Impact relatively easily, so really important that C9 is able to kind of find their way into a split push advantage here.
They need to be able to stay safe, to wave clear, to disengage, and a lot of that is going to be down to Smoothie. How well can he use his pillars? How safe can the Ashe and the Vel'Koz stay? Because if they can be safe, if they can wave clear it out with the Hurricane, with the W spam from that Vel'Koz, I definitely think they could try to pull off this 4-1 split.
We still maintain that clean 2-level lead for Svenskeren as well as for Impact right now.
Double lift. I mean, double lift is getting very ahead as far as the XP too.
That's true. I didn't think about that one. Yeah, so aggregate like 4-something level lead right here for in total TSM. Impact once again dueling battle with Hanser. Takes a turret shot, takes a second. Impact's got to respect this a little bit. The stun could come out soon. Keep in mind the ulti is still down for a few more seconds.
TSM is running down.
Double lift has Jhin ulti.
They don't have to necessarily respect the Baron, but it would be a long chase, so we do back off.
And not going to happen. Double Mountain Drake for TSM. You know they can knock down objectives rapidly. Next one up will be Cloud, so it's the more objective focus, the rotation and turret killing Drakes here in this game. Svenskeren wants to smite fight for the Raptor, and he's going to get it. And that's part of why he's got that 2-level lead. He is constantly...
3 levels now.
Jeez, constantly taking Meteos' farm away.
He has been farming like a madman this game. Yes, Meteos did get a gank or two off early in the game, but as soon as Svenskeren got that counter gank, he's just been plowing through the jungle. Like, the level 15, we say it's a 3-level disadvantage, but it's not like Meteos is super under-leveled to the game. It's just Svenskeren is tied for the highest level because of how much experience he's been able to soak up.
And what's really been interesting in this game is I feel like TSM's had a different member step up the most in each game here so far, right? You've had Double Lift with an insane KDA and no deaths in the previous game, a similar situation for their mid laner Bjergsen. Now you've got Svenskeren, 100% kill participation, no deaths, out-farming his opposite member substantially. Just everyone is pitching in a really huge way in different elements of the game. You talked earlier about Bjergsen saying, yeah, I feel like all my teammates can handle the world stage, and you're seeing huge individual contributions from every member of TSM in this series.
It'll be interesting to see if these top laners actually meet up in a team fight. There are heavy weaknesses as far as lack of resistances in armor for Impact, and there's a lack of MR for Hanser, right? So dealing with the Vel'Koz and dealing with those Jhin can be very problematic, and we'll see if that can be exploited, because if Jensen lands a proper combo on a Hanser, he could go down and likely go a big fight here.
Going for the battle, knock up on a Meteos. Zach has to flash
Oh,
away, and a two-man tempered fate. It caught the back line. Here comes the dive. Svenskeren finding a little bit. Meteos separates the team, but he's running out of health. Here comes the disintegration ray. Nearly does knock down Svenskeren. Ashe gets the damage across, but Hanser managed to get the trade kill on the jungler. Now he's in the back line. Pops through the exhaust. Kills off Sneaky, and Smoothie himself running low on HP. He's got to run from this one. No slow's going to land for Jensen. Couple more hits will do it. Here comes Impact on the side, but gets sniped out, and Bjergsen gets the 4th kill of the fight. Only Jensen survives it. A 4-1 in favor of TSM.
That was actually a Jhin ult pull that snuck through and killed off Sneaky, I believe, and they missed that block. It could have been a very different fight. Instead, TSM moved for the Baron.
Yeah, 27 minutes in, double Mountain Drake. It would be rather difficult for Jensen to stop this one with no ultimate. He's sticking around and hoping for some poke, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Unlikely, and here comes the chase down. Double it. Oh, he doesn't have the damage. Snipe's not going to land. Fire touch wears out. Tight.
Woo. Slim margins in a lot of these fights, but TSM is consistently coming out ahead, even with the early ganks that Meteos was trying that just turned back around. This time it's Meteos actually getting caught out at the start of the fight.
Yeah, he does get caught out. He can't get that initiation at all, and it's C9 funneling, and a great ulti here, but it was actually Jensen, I believe, that knocks up Svenskeren, preventing that knock-up on a Sneaky, keeping him alive, and they get a lot of return damage, but they're not able to really finish off any key targets. Just Svenskeren going down, and you can see the Impact is so late to join the fight, just now completing his TP, and then there is the Jhin ulti. Smoothie missed the block on it. Had he been able to keep Sneaky alive, it could have been much different with Impact coming in on the backside.
Absolutely. Impact as well, though. We mentioned how his low armor build is going to leave him vulnerable. How about a 1,170 damage crit to finish him off?
Painful stuff here. Impact once again in a battle against Hanser. Still should be holding a bit of a lead, but this might not mean enough. Only 1 level now, and suddenly there's reinforcements. Impact's running out of health. These Mega Arbor doesn't even matter. Svenskeren's there to make it all happen, and the kill comes through for Hanser, getting revenge on his lane opponent. Tempered Fate hits Smoothie. That's going to be a blended Trundle. Double kill so far for Hanser. Smite not quite going to land, but turret down. Arrow's going to hit.
Going,
but
desperation.
Yes, they catch up. Double it. But into the back line they go. A double already for Bjergsen. He just going to run everybody down. No one's left alive. It's the split of the blobs. And that's going to be Meteos completing the ace for TSM, 15-6, right on Cloud9's doorstep.
They could end the game. The bear buff is there. The rest timers are so long. And TSM are looking to push for victory in game 3.
15 seconds on impact, 6 on smoothie. No AD carry for TSM. They have the Baron and Power Minions. They're looking to be 1 game away from the North American Championship, but it could be close.
Looking to close it out in under 30 minutes. A fast one, the fastest of the series. Second Nexus turret is down. There's not enough respawns in time. TSM gonna take the lead in the series, and they are 1 game away from their 4th North American Championship.
And it feels like TSM is getting their groove back. They played so fast in the regular season with the 32-minute average game time, but had been in quicksand, so to speak, just slowly wadding around. 40 minutes were their game times before, but sub 30 against C9 to put them 1 win away from the championship.
And you have to feel like so much of it came down to the early game, to those ganks. That went sideways, that got turned around. C9 felt like they were in such a good spot, and then that missed elastic slingshot, the missed skill shots on Bjergsen. He turns it around, gets going for the team, and Sven Skaren from there just felt like he completely took over the jungle. Meteos ending the game 3 levels down, constantly being evaded by this guy.
Yeah, being able to pick your fights is so critical in professional League of Legends. We kind of talked about why we're seeing the junglers we're seeing, and it's like all of those guys have a way in and a way out. Zach generally, he goes in, and if you miscalculate in any way, or if you're getting caught warding, you don't have that many options, and that's, I think, what really punished Meteos in that game. I loved the pick, it almost worked, but as soon as he made the mistake, they could never get control of the game back.
And it was several times he was like, oh, we missed, but I'm going to chase anyway. I'm going to chase you through the magical journey into 3 people. Oh, it didn't work that time either. And some of that was maybe nerves, maybe tilting from it not working, but they were deaths he did not have to give away by miscalculating the second half of the fight. Walking, not that hard, but Meteos didn't choose to do it. So TSM up 1 game, up 1 game, 2-1 so far in the series. 1 more will do it, but now it's time to send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you for the update, Freak. It is coming down to TSM's game point now, and Cloud9, it almost feels like there's something that's been figured out here, and TSM may have that number.
Well, the draft in particular has been so critical for TSM. They pinpoint the rec side. They saw how important it was yesterday. The Jhin making waves in the bot lane, and particularly in the transition into the mid game, getting so many picks, and the crits are just massive.
Absolutely.
Definitely true. We did see those towards the end of the game.
We talk about the Jhin making waves. We got to talk about Meteos' pool party. Zach making waves a little bit here. Let's bring up the first replays. The first one, I call these forget about Zach, because that's exactly what it looked like TSM had happened.
And honestly, this replay is a lot about impact. Earning up that first kill right there, bullying Haunter. But here we go. This is the mid lane play. You know that you're going to look for when you do have Zach. Previously, he burned the summoners off Bjergsen.
Yeah.
So you're a sitting duck there on Cassiopeia.
But
this second one is where we start to see where they forced it a bit, right? Meteos is unable to keep a clear head as the match goes on, knowing that it kind of feels like he has something to prove with this Zach, and he's really trying to force those mid lane ganks. There was a ping from TSM on the question mark. He's probably on Raptors. Previously to that play, he had just cleared out wards in the red quadrant of the jungle. Yeah, about 25, 30 seconds ago. So they assume that he's still there. That's why Bjergsen is playing on the top side. He's MVP. He's no dum-dum. He knows that Zach is looking to come here towards the mid lane when I have no summoners.
And I think the thing that's impressive is whenever you see this kind of like old pick resurrected, something like a Rengar, like these long-range, engagey junglers, there always seems to be like a full game where the team's just like, how do we play against this again? And what I like about TSM is it didn't take them like an entire game where it's like, oh god.
I don't know. I felt like they just forced so much.
Well, I think the thing is that they didn't, like, they started reacting to him like he has really long range initiates, but if you ever get in like an even fight, he's actually not as potent as a lot of other picks.
Right, you saw the adaptation happen very fast for TSM.
Yeah, the second thing to me that says that they were really forcing those things was that kill on bottom, where Meteos then took the magical journey. That's where you're like, okay, they're definitely following this path a bit too far.
A really common philosophy behind League is that you don't force the play, you let it come to you, and that doesn't mean just you're completely passive. It's just that you don't put yourself in a position where you have to wait, where you're wondering, can this work? What are the variables that need to make this work? Whereas that first gank onto the Cassiopeia, nice and easy. You show up and you do it right away, and it's right there in front of you.
I think that's one thing that TSM does extremely well is they take their small advantages. So like if you look at that bot play where Doublelift had to flash and Biofrost had to flash, that's the kind of thing where you have so many tools, just wait a minute and a half, come back, reforce that play. Impact's winning top. You have an Ash Arrow, you have Zach, you can remake that play when they have no like summoners.
And it kind of comes full circle to the thing we were talking about before, best of 5. It's all about the poise and the long game here, the adaptations between them. And it feels like Cloud9 need to refocus after this. They still have games left to play, and they still have a chance.
Absolutely. Game 1 kind of showed us that TSM and Cloud9 held back a little bit. Things were tempered. There were still fights. But coming up on this 27-minute replay, 4 for 1 for TSM is they're just showing they own the jungle, and we kind of said they need to with that advantage to close out these games.
This is just an example of why Jin and a couple of these picks are so valuable, because they're able to initiate and do damage from so far away. This Bard ult holds people in place to get the setup, and I mean, Belkaz, once again, very strong, can just bombard people from the back. But then once Doublelift, drops his ult, C9 has to be in full retreat mode. He picks up 1 kill, basically there with the help of Hanser, and then it's just this nice sneak pass smoothie right onto Sneaky that blows him up.
And there's just nothing that the carries can do. How do you deal with Hanser in your backline where even your tanks can't offer that much peel into the Velka, into the Gnar, into the fact that the Jin is just free to do whatever he wants?
And so crucial to that replay right there was the team play. That was all 5 members of TSM. Impact didn't join that till a good 5-6 seconds later when multiple Cloud9 members were already dead because he had to fully channel that teleport, and it was those extra few seconds always mean the big difference.
I love the story that the damage to Delta champions tells, where there's nobody that's really standing out in how much DPS they've been dealing. So it just shows that TSM was more focused onto the macro game, understanding, okay, where do we rotate and look to make the minute plays that will get us ahead and snowball a lead, as opposed to just looking for that one big team fight around Baron that will just blow the game wide open.
How to act on those advantages. Moving into Game 4, Cloud9 has selected blue side. What changes can they make here? It almost seems like they need to be able to get something that has an early game stronger than
Rex.
TSM.
You gotta get Rek'Sai. This champion has been just devastating series after series. Junglers that are kind of struggling are unable to deal with the likes of the pressure that this champion puts. And even if she falls behind, you go Tiamat, you get ahead. We saw even a 3-level disparity at some point, which is broken. I mean, 2 is already too much. 3 is like you lost.
One of the best things about Rek'Sai is also she's very simplistic. So even if you need something to calm down on, very powerful and simplistic. So that's something that a lot of people can go back to.
The other thing too is they just need to change up how the carry matchups are being played out. They went Cassio into, or they had the Vel'Koz into Cassio twice, as well as the Ashe into Jin. It's just not working. They need to change it more. They try to change a couple picks around it where, they get the Zac and maybe we can punish their mobile carries, but I think they have to actually change up these carry matchups because TSM looks like they're in a groove.
All right, well, we do have one more game if TSM is able to win it. Cloud9, however, really need to pick things up. Looking at what has happened throughout this, they are exploring things. Champion select has been different for them from game to game, but like you guys said, focusing on that Ashe, focusing on a few other things may be hurting them. We'll see if both teams change things up, as TSM are just 1 win away from claiming the title of North American champion. Stay with us through the break to see if they can close out the series or if Cloud9 will strike back in Game 4. You're watching the NALCS Finals.
They change it up.
Oh, baby. It's
Jaku, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
At this exact timing, but Impact running out of health. There's a flash knockup, and he can't get over the wall. First Hyper, shield coming out. 3-second countdown. Knockup is there, and they've got the damage.
I can reach him. Go.
They won't swap right now.
Ulting man.
Hey, mid dive. Nice, good job.
The heal, Meteor splits into 4. Jensen still chased, but doesn't have the damage.
Hanser though, could get double kill.
Hanser does not have the ult used to get back in a lane. One more hit will do it, and Impact gets the damage he needs.
I'm looking. I got Zac. Can we go? Yeah. Dash. I push ult. I got him. Nice.
Yes, they catch off Doublelift, but into the back line they go. A double already for Bjergsen. He just gonna run everybody down. No one's left alive. It's the split of the blobs. TSM gonna take the lead in the series, and they are 1 game away from their 4th North American Championship.